All right. We're back with the Sons podcast. Just talking about having kids, taking kids to like grown up places. They have stuff for kids to do. And I was just about to say, I feel like when we were kids, it wasn't really like that. Like my mom would take me to a bar when because she would be going to the bar. Not a good thing. Not a good thing to take a kid to, especially because it wasn't at all set up for kids. So, like, I don't know if you remember in maybe they still have them, but like in old bars, they would have these like machines that it was kind of like a gambling game, and you would pay money and you could like gamble or play different weird games. It was like a video game thing, but like in the 90s. And I remember playing that. And then they would have that like the disc slide game. I don't know if you ever play that in a bar. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
shuffleboard, but like a mini shuffleboard. But yeah.
That game's great. I still like to go to a bar. I mean, it's weird. I know you're just a kid doing it, but
Yeah.
my buddy, same deal, grew up in there, and it was a pool hall, the place that his dad would go to. So it's like
Yeah.
3 o'clock in the afternoon or whenever school was out or whatever. Uh, Spending time, and it's just adults. Like, did you get to talk to adults pretty
Yeah.
early? Right? Were you
Yeah.
interacting with them, or were you just
I
like,
was super shy, so I don't think I was interacting. I think if you have a strong like parenting style and things at home are stable, that's totally fine. For me, it wasn't really like that. So it's just like more instability and I'm just weird drunk people trying to talk to me. I hated it.
yeah, yeah.
I'm sure a different personality in a kid though would totally like thrive in that environment. But for me, I was like, I hate it here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is off topic, but something that I've just wanted to talk about and we'll talk about with you. I driving the other day, a day or two after coming back, was going down to Brooklyn, came back home, and peaceful enough drive, like not going crazy speeds, anything, like nothing. We'd gotten out of the traffic and we were on the like Westchester side, Bronx side of New York, and not too many people on the road. Somebody gunning up from behind, like going super fast. And I was getting ready to like pass the people that were on the right or and I started to see like this dude's coming too fast. There's nowhere for this guy to go. Like I could see him coming, like you just in the rear view, like way too fast. And the two people that are on my right hand side, they kind of are like lined up parallel to each other, but he's flying down, comes up to them as though he's gonna pass them, but they're just right there. There's nowhere to go. Like he came up to them as though he was in the act of passing. You know, he was not slowing down. He was, if anything, like getting ready to kind of try to make a move or something. And so fast. I mean, I was going 60. This guy had to be going 110. I mean, he's going so fast, dude. Just right up. And like he was going to do something. And instead hit the back of both the cars. And this is right next to me. I was just about to pass these people. So they're right next to me. Hit the back of both these cars and everyone just starts spinning. All three cars just
Oh
like
my God.
start going spinning. One goes up into the grass onto the bank. The other one hits a guardrail. Another one goes, they're just going spinning all over. And it's happening right in front of me. And like, it wasn't crazy. There wasn't a lot of traffic. I just started to slow down. That's all I knew. Like I did, there was nowhere even to go. Like it was happening on all sides of me, you know? And, and then finally it stopped. Like they started spinning. I was able to kind of like maneuver, and I was like just touching the back of one of the cars. Who knows? I don't even know who. I get so disorienting who was who or whatever. And there was just like a beat, and then the doors started opening and people started getting out. I was like, all right, I'm in the middle of the fucking interstate. I just like reversed and like pulled around. I mean, like, and just started driving. It was like the
Just
very
get out of
first.
here.
Yeah, it was just the first part of this accident, like the first person to like see it and not be in it. And I've been thinking about it. It was like not a near death experience. It wasn't that dramatic. It was just very traumatic to see, you know, like it was
Yeah. Were the
this
kids in the
dude.
car or you just by
Oh
yourself?
God. That'd be totally different. I don't know if I'd be getting back in the car. I'm so grateful my kids were not in the fucking car with me. Cause like I was only able to slow down. It only mattered that like I was able to get slow enough while this thing was happening. But it was, you know, it starts happening like, right in front of you. Everything starts slowing down once they start spinning. That there's like nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Uh, Anyway, but yeah, it would have been so bad if the kids were there. But I've been thinking about it because this dude, like we were all just driving fine, and this dude came
Yeah.
with like a bullet at us, like a stray bullet. You know what I mean? What, you don't even know that's gonna happen. It happened so fast. The guy just
Yeah.
came out of nowhere. You had like a whole idea of the layout and the people and the speed of people and how things are going. And now just like this insane dude was he even looking. How did he get, I
Yeah, like,
couldn't,
was he
I was
not
trying to like,
looking and just speeding, looking at his phone? Or,
yeah,
like,
I mean, like I don't
was
know
he
how,
just like, "Fuck these people," because he couldn't pass, so he was just, maybe he thought he was just gonna tap them in the back as, like, to scare them,
yeah,
not thinking, "Oh, now I'm probably gonna kill somebody," like.
I have felt an anger that inside of me that I didn't know existed in some of those
Oh,
traffic
yeah.
moments. Now, this was insane. And this dude was on one from a while back. He had plenty of time to change his
Yeah.
attitude, but there are definitely like moments where you're like, holy shit, I'm this the darkest version of me. So
Oh, yeah.
apply that to somebody that's not as stable, I can only imagine, you like,
I mean, if
I've
you were
had,
having a horrible day, I feel like those altercations where people die, it's like one person's having a horrible day, and then they encounter another person having their worst day, and then I had an experience now, it was probably like a year and a half ago. We were in the Algarve, and we had to drive up to Lisbon to get a plane, and it's me and Lucia and the dog Kiko. And but we didn't have a car at the time, so we rented a car, just one way drive. We did that instead of a bus, A, because of the dog, and B, because we had a bunch of luggage. And anyway, so we're taking this highway up, and the car that I was given, I now can drive a manual, but I couldn't at that point. So the only automatic car they had was a really nice car. It was like a what was I don't even remember. It was just like a rich guy, like a rich douchebag car. So like if you see a guy driving this car, maybe you assume he's just like a rich douchebag. And rich douchebags typically have so much to lose that they're never gonna do anything if they're wronged, you know? But anyway, I've had this happen to me before here where that exact thing basically happens. I'm driving, I start to pass somebody. So there's a right lane, left lane. I'm in the left lane. I'm passing someone like a human being, like I'm going slightly faster than them. And then a car, a Tesla, flies up behind so fast. Because there was, I keep an eye in the rearview mirror. It must have like he must have been going like 150 because it's like there was nothing behind me. I'm passing. The next time I look, he's right up my ass. Like it's like he came out of nowhere. And he's like he's almost kissing the car with his fucking Tesla, So I'm like, Jesus, just give me a second to pass. And I'm sorry I delayed your journey. Are you headed to the hospital or something? Like for by 2 seconds, I pass and I shouldn't have, but I flipped him off as he goes by. I didn't even look. I just went like this as he drives by. So this guy either is a career criminal or a career police officer because like he had that reaction, this like PTSD induced reaction to that level of disrespect, I guess, where it's like you're already being the dick, you're overtaking me, you're like, I feel like men, we feel like when someone passes us on the highway, it's like they're dominating us, but I just kind of like that's that dumb part of your brain that you just have to kind of like, all right, forget it. I have everything I love is in this car right now. Let me not put everything I love in the most dangerous possible situation. So anyway, he gets in front of me and he slams on his brakes, like slams on his brakes on the highway. So we're probably going like 70, and then now I'm slamming on my brakes to a near stop. And I'm trying to like get around him because I'm like, he's insane. He just slammed on his brakes. Like I might hit the back of him. I'm going to try to swerve and at least not hit him. And he's swerving to make sure I can't get around him. So then he's like yelling and motioning to pull over. Like he wants to escalate the altercation to a face-to-face situation. And Lucia's freaking out and the dog is barking. I mean, we don't have a baby, but the dog's like our baby. But like, that's embarrassing to say, but it's true. But like, in that situation, I had to decide what I wanted to do. I think if I was by myself, I would have like allowed it to escalate a little bit just to see. But I just, I, w- I s- I hate that I had to like apologize. I went like, I did the apologetic, like, please forgive me, sir, so that you don't stab me in the neck here on the highway. And he finally let it go and went on. But I swear to God, this happened over a year and a half ago. I think about it all the time, especially when something happens and I get that like anger in me. Like I fantasized about stabbing the guy. I fantasized about tasing him and stealing his Tesla and running him over with it. I fantasized about slamming his head in the door of the Tesla. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know what that is, but like obviously driving brings it out. I will say like on the I also drive a scooter, Honda, and like I don't get the road rage like that on the scooter, and maybe because you're more exposed, but it's also like more natural, like you breathe the air, and you can easily maneuver. So people can't someone slows down, you just zip around them. But I always think about like what happened to you, what you just said on the scooter. If someone flies up and just even taps me from behind on the highway, like if I'm not dead, I'm severely injured the rest of my life.
That's what's always, I mean, probably scares everybody, but that scares me a lot about the idea of motorcycles, just the vulnerability of them. Uh, and like the only people that I know that have ridden bikes have like all been in massive accidents,
Oh,
They're like, even that just love them and still do them, whatever.
yeah.
But, even like a small accident on a bike is a big accident, it's
Yeah.
like not
A fender bender in a
right, right.
car on a bike
Mm,
could kill you.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
the thing, like
Well,
real motorcyclists wear like protective gear. I don't. I just have a scooter. I'm still going like 70 miles an hour sometimes, but
you
I'm
got to
like
treat
in a
it like it's a
t-shirt and
bike.
shorts. So if I wipe out on the highway going 70, I'm skinning my body. Like I don't even want to think about it, but
Yeah, yeah.
the thing doesn't go. I physically can't go the speed limit on that bike on the highway. So like cars are the scariest thing is that cars are always passing me. So I
Sure.
just stay to the right. I'm very pitiful. I'm not like aggressive. It's just like just pass me. So I hope that
You're more
helps,
like
but
one with the road, one with like the whole environment that you're moving through, and even more than those cars. You're almost like seeing them as like, oh, a little like disturbance that's just kind of like going right by you, but you're more tapped into like the
oh yeah.
environment that anyone is when they're driving a
For
car.
like when I'm in a car driving, we're talking. I'm like, it's just like you're not as tapped in. Where on the bike, on a bike, you are just like super aware. I think that's why people love it so much. If you can't be distracted, you're forced. You can't look at your phone. You're forced to be super present. And like we went to the beach this weekend. I mean, there's a beach near us, but it's not so nice. So we drove like I took the long, like the scenic route to this beach, and the nice thing on the scooter, as soon as you leave the house, your day of enjoyment begins. You're in the sun, you're breathing the air. When you're trying to get to the beach in a car, it's like this, like, you're like this little pod of stress until you get there, and then you have to decompress. But
Yeah, that's nice. Do you ever ride with her? Like, are you like, you got like a two-person
yeah,
ride?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's possible. She sits behind me and then there's
Holds
like
on, holds on to your
it,
waist.
yeah,
It's
it's,
beautiful. That's
it's
amazing.
nice.
That's what you're
I
doing.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I love
but it is like, it's funny, like it's I don't know if because it's more like riding a horse. But it's like, did we evolve to ride horses? But something about it, even just the way you're sitting, your back is in a more comfortable position than when you're like in a car. And like, there's something rather than like side by side, she's behind me, she's holding on. Uh, and I don't know, it is more natural. And I remember Tom Segura on a podcast talking about riding a motorcycle and describing things about it that most people don't realize until they do it. But one of the things he mentioned that I was like, oh, that's so true. You feel the subtle difference in the air temperature. Like you'll be riding and all of a sudden, like you'll hit a hot pocket of air for like a mile and then it'll get cool again. Or like, boom, you smell like, uh, I don't know, name a plant. You smell like there's a field of a particular flower. I don't know the names of any flowers, but it's like, oh, you get hit with that. Where in the car, you're just like in this isolated bubble. And it sounds like it's just not something you think about, but it really affects your mood and like how you perceive how your day plays out. Like I just prefer the bike. And again, like there's traffic. We never get stuck in traffic. Like there's a beach we've been to that's sort of across a bridge. It's like an hour drive across this main bridge in and out of Lisbon. And everybody goes towards this beach when it's a nice day. But then towards the end of the day, all these people are coming back. And on the bridge, there's like a toll booth system. So like literally, if you get stuck in that traffic, you could be waiting in traffic to get to the toll to get through across the bridge 2 hours before. Like normally it would be 5 minutes. These cars were backed up for miles, like just barely moving. The bike, I mean, and you kind of feel like an asshole because I know when you're in that car and you see these fucking motorcycles just pew, you're sitting there like a schmuck having an argument with your partner and this fucking like a cool guy with a face tattoo and his girlfriend with her ass sticking out. They just fly by. Now I don't have the face tattoo and it's not a motorcycle. It's a scooter with like a top box, which means it's like a trunk on the back. So I look like an Uber delivery driver basically, but still I've been that guy where we probably passed 300, 400 cars.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But then when we get to the toll booth line, I wait in the line. I pass. Then it's like, okay, I'm going to wait for 10 minutes to pass through. Cause I've seen some guys on these like these like crotch rocket type bikes, like these aggressive type guys. They will pass everybody and cut like you're next in line for the toll booth. You've waited hours. Every bit of enjoyment and relaxation that was in your body from the beach is gone. It's cortisol, it's arguments. You've said horrible things about your wife. You've called your son gay. And it's all just from the tension to go through this toll booth. And I've seen the motorcycle just go right in front and steal that moment. And then I saw a video of that exact toll booth, like a fight breaking out between people in car. People in the cars just got out and attacked the guy in the bike, which kind of deserves it.
Yeah, man, it's amazing, like what the car. I mean, coming from Williamsburg, it's not like you're enjoying. I mean, the last like 5 miles coming up to where I am is nice, like tree lined and beautiful. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're just like I imagine it's nowhere near as like rewarding in New York, where you're just like
Do you
essentially
go up the FDR Drive to get back from
I
Williamsburg?
could, but I typically am going like, because there's an on-ramp to the BQE right where I'm at. So BQE to Grand Central and then going over the Whitestone Bridge to come up here. Um, and by the time, once I'm across the Whitestone Bridge, it's fine. It's great. There's like no issue after that. And when I'm driving in, I'm just sailing in the morning and then like, whatever congestion after
Do
the
you do
bridge.
weird hours or do you have to drive at rush hour
It
ever?
it is. I'll do plenty of like super early morning things like this. Like it would be not for me to land there at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's not atypical for what I'm doing. So that's great.
Yeah.
Problem is if you do that, typically you're going back into traffic at like 6 p.m. So you get fucked one way or the other.
Yeah.
But on occasion it'll be like if it's like an evening shoot or if it's a mid-morning shoot and you have to like 2 hours to do a 40-minute drive,
Yeah.
um, or like
I
it's
know
just, yeah, just like one
we
thing goes
talked
wrong.
extensively about COVID, but one thing about during COVID was no one was going to work. So I
Yeah.
don't know if you drove around the city at all at that time. There's like nobody, but it was like more dangerous because there was no traffic ever. So people were driving like 200 miles an hour on the BQ. It was like super dangerous, I thought.
We went, it was probably like middle of March, when it was like completely vacant and dead, and we had to go
Yeah.
pick up some hard drives for my wife's work. And I was driving, and it was like alarming, and because it was
Yeah.
so early in it, and it was just like, wait, what? Like you're just kind of realizing how serious it is, and you're just driving through. There's
Yeah.
like literally nobody around.
Yeah.
Uh, and then just being like actually kind of bummed that I wasn't filming it. Like we had a mission, we had to drive and get this shit, and she had to go back and edit. We had like a timeline. We didn't have time to like mess around, but I kept
Yeah.
wanting to like go back into the city. And by the time that I got it organized, and I could have gone, there's no excuse. I could have fucking turned right around. I had nothing going on. I could have gone right back. I didn't do it, but I wish I would have like filmed some of that, And then by the
Yeah.
time I went back, it was like there were people moving around. It wasn't high volume, but it just looked like early morning or whatever
Yeah.
all the time. But it was when it was totally vacant like that, it's alarming,
Yeah. I wish I would have taken, I wish I, if I could go back in time and know that I'm not going to get sick and it's actually not as bad as everyone is making it out to be, in my opinion, I would have totally enjoyed it more. My brother was also there and he did. I think he just kind of didn't care. He had, I don't know what it is, but he did not care at all if he got sick or whatever. He just kind of was, he just moved to New York, so he was in that fresh excitement stage and he got in with this group of like bicycle guys and but they would do these big group rides, and it apparently sounded amazing because there was no cars, so they would just ride all over the city in a big group.
that's awesome.
You know, I was just inside hiding. Anyway,
Is that
fuck
what
that era.
did he, I think maybe you mentioned this, but did he take over your old lease?
He did. He took over my old apartment and my old job.
Oh,
So
really?
like,
Wait,
I
at
don't know if
Hearst?
you remember when I worked, not at Hearst. Remember when I worked for the rich guy who I won't. This is a name I certainly don't want to name. Do you remember that? I was this rich guy's assistant. Peter Evans was based on
Oh,
this
yes, yes, yeah, yeah,
guy's
yeah, yeah.
personality. Uh,
Forgot about that, yeah, but
yeah,
yeah,
like I was basically a personal assistant to this rich guy who was the son of a very, 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 very successful rich guy who also was a movie producer, and his brother was a famous movie producer. And if the three people that are listening to this really want to figure that out, I'm sure they could just from that. But and it's just as long as and he's tries to sue people all the time. That's it. So if somehow this was like a clip that he saw, he would
right.
probably try to sue me. And I have nothing that he could take. It's like, here, you can take my $10. But anyway, I would love to make something out of my experience there because I've been in touch with all of his assistants, and like there's just so many, like, the guy took so many pills and like would see prostitutes all the time, and you'd have to like, he was really kind of weird and he would want you to edit with him, but then like a girl would show up and he'd go into his Pilates room for a massage, and then the girl would leave with a look of shame on her face. It's like, I don't think she's a massage. I don't think she's a masseuse. Anyway, uh, yeah, so my brother, like, I happened to find out that he needed a new assistant all around the same time my brother was moving. So my brother moved into my apartment and he took that job. So he worked for him during COVID. But yeah, the apartment was a $450 a month in Greenpoint, which is like, by the time I left, was like the nicest, I feel like the most sought after neighborhood to live in. Like,
Sure.
and when I first moved in there, I was like, I'm going to live there for a couple months and then I'm going to get my own real apartment where I don't have to share a bathroom with three other people that are on this floor. And it was just a room. But that was back in like 2010, 2011, to get like a studio apartment in that neighborhood was like 1,500 a month. So now I think it's like like 25, 3,000,
Price of
So to be
stuff
living
is
there for 450 a month was crazy. It's the only reason I was able to live in that city for as long as I did. Like, being as semi-employed for as long as I was in the beginning.
yeah, that place was, I mean, it's nice that your brother stayed there because it's such a like, that's the New York way of like, of doing it. It's like, that's how I don't know. Yeah, it's a good way to like intro to the city. But you were just like always having to go out because of that. That's a great thing. It's like got you, you know, whatever, intricate, Jesus, getting into your own city there, knowing that area, moving around, doing everything. It's
Oh, yeah.
awesome. And you made it work. You had that little
Yeah, I mean,
hot plate. And
it's one of those things where I was always fantasizing about moving out, and then but the thing was I was always like, I only have to make $450 this month. If I can at least make that, I'm not homeless, and anything on top of that, I can buy food. And it was such a like that's honestly how I thought the first couple years. Uh, but that was like $450 a month to make in New York City. I mean, a homeless guy could make that much money. So like it just felt like that security. But then when I finally moved out, my girlfriend and I at the time moved into a real apartment. It was 2,900 a month plus utilities. So over probably with utilities 3,100 a month. And like we were supposed to be splitting that, but to be honest, most of the time we weren't. So like that was 6 months of rent I would pay every month. And like when I could never get that out of my head. And honestly, that expensive fucking apartment, like even though I was making way more money, kind of like fucked me in the end. Just
totally.
so stupid to pay a crazy amount of rent. At that point, I mean, you own your home right now.
Yeah. I mean, we
It's just
pay
like,
a bank, but yeah, yeah.
sure.
At
But
least
it's
you're
like,
paying for something rather than just kind
yeah.
of like thrown to it for
I mean,
sure.
I feel like such a fool. Like, I just never thought this way. And I never had adults teach me this stuff. But like, I'm friends with a guy out here from here he's in real estate. And like, he bought a place actually near where I live now, lived in it 10 years, sold it for like $150,000 profit. So like whatever money he paid every month, he got back plus $150,000 profit, which he then invested in a new place and then did it again on a shorter time frame. I mean, it helps that all the property here over the past 15 years has been going up and up and up. But like now he owns several places. He has his real estate job, but he also like he just bought a new place that's strictly for Airbnb. And it's like, you know, I just I don't know. I feel like financially you can set yourself up so that you're so free where like when you're paying rent, you're literally just getting rid of that money. Like imagine taking rent every month and putting it in savings. And then not only are you getting that money back eventually, but you're getting like a decent percentage on top of that if the market goes up. But even if you just sold it for what you got it for, it's like you just put money in savings that whole time.
Sure.
So I'm 40 years old. I own no home, you know, trying to trying to steer it back. But man, when we were in our 20s, I just did not care about any of that. I was like, I'm just going to rent. I live in New York. I just care about doing what I'm focused on doing right now here. And I had my little moment, few years of financial success, and I just
Yeah, yeah,
farted
yeah.
it
I mean,
away.
really, it is like if no one teaches you, because my parents didn't. It's not like they didn't have the knowledge, but they just never were sharing it with me. You know, it's like I wasn't asking, but you don't get that. Like people just don't tell you how to like manage stuff like that. It seems insane. It seems like really there's 3 or 4 things we should leave school with, and that's probably one of them. You know, if you can go into the world with that knowledge, but if family, like our dad was very like savvy with that and was just like instructional to his children as they were going through it.
Yeah,
And like she lived at home while she was first working. So that's a huge advantage, right? That like a lot of us
yeah,
don't have because we had to come up here to do this. But she was able to live at home and just like save and then bought a place when she was 26 or something like that, 25.
yeah,
Um, and that apartment that she had in the story, it's like she owned that and, was paying into it, and then when I started living there, I started paying into it, and you're paying into this thing. And then we were, before we come to this house, we were able to sell that and the Atlanta place, like, just because she was thinking about that. And like, I would have gotten, if I was to meet somebody that was like as financially wise as I was at the same time, like we wouldn't, if like, it was only
Yeah.
because she was able to be like, this is actually a lesson I've known, and was able to share it with me.
Yeah.
But I quickly was like, I put the numbers together of like, I think the cheapest I ever paid in New York was like 1,700 a month. And that was from 2010 to, whatever, however long I lived there. So like hundreds of thousands of dollars
Yeah.
to rent. And it's just like for nothing. That is a
Uh,
hard, pill to swallow. So
it should be like, yeah. The fact that young people don't know, like you should just not rent. Honestly, you try to avoid it. Do whatever you can do. I mean, I know that's not possible, but even if it's just like, while you're building your career, get roommates and just like pay for a room. But it was that I remember moving to New York single and like there's so much pressure. I felt so embarrassed where I lived because I'm living in a room and there's 3 other rooms on this floor. And then it's just a room. I have a little mini fridge, a little like hot plate to cook stuff. And then the bathroom is shared. So it's like this, like I wanted to meet a girl and take her home, but if I take her to home, like she's gonna have to go and there might be like a 70-year-old man naked sitting in the toilet. She opens that guy would just sit naked in his room in the summer with the door open to cool his old body. And you would just see this old just skin hanging you didn't see dick because it would just be covered in skin, but yeah, but the shame of like, but that was the best financial thing imaginable. Like this super cheap apartment, in an amazing neighborhood so that I could work and build a career. And what I should have been doing was saving. And then really there was a point where I had enough money to do a down payment and I could have on a house outside of New York. But that's the thing too. It's like, no, I want to live in the most cool neighborhood. What a stupid, poisonous fucking idea. It's like you're sacrificing your future, your ability to retire, your ability to not even just retire, but feel any kind of security over 40 just to be a couple steps away from some bar where everyone's an asshole and the drinks are 3 times the base value and yeah. So I just feel like the best move would be build your career, live in as cheap a place as you possibly can stand, have 18 Somali roommates if need be, sleep on the couch, and then get that first time homeowners loan where you only have to put 3% down and then just pay into that because eventually, like, yeah, you get all that money back and potentially a lot more. It's like they're paying you to live there in a way.
I mean, especially when, like, if you could get the good interest rate stuff that was coming at, like, if people that bought during the COVID sort of wave, like, their level of
uh,
payment is, like,
like
cheaper than
3%.
cheaper than any sort of rent that you were gonna pay in New York.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man, uh I have envied, I've, like, just, like, fantasized about those days with a mortgage, because the mortgage is, like, high, super high, highest
Yeah.
that I've ever had to pay, but also that it's like, you can't just get out of it, You're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, man, we'd have to, like, sell a house." It's like that feeling when you were renting of like, okay, well, every year you kinda get to make this call again, like, can you
Yeah.
do it? You can reevaluate things. But just like, "Oh my god, this mortgage is not going away." No, it's here
Yeah.
forever. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it'll be worth it down the road, I think. I think about like when we first I mean, the first few times we went upstate to do mushrooms, like me and you and some other friends, I remember talking to you about like this, having this, oh, wouldn't it be amazing to like get a house up here and you could set up like a studio and like have just set it up exactly how I feel like because your dad and your uncle designed your their house, right? That you
Yeah,
grew
yeah.
up in. I feel like whenever I talk to you, something about that's in your DNA, because I feel like we have these really good conversations about how you would lay out rooms and like what would be the ideal way to, lay things out and set things up. And man, I think back to that era now. This was like, I mean, what year was that? 2016-ish, probably 10 years ago. Like if we uh like if we were just like, fuck it, let's go in together and let's buy a house upstate in one of these areas that we like, and like we can split the mortgage, and then like if need be rent a little apartment in the city, and like you stay at the house, I'll stay at the apartment, we want to switch. But it's like a thing where like we could just bro it out and just make, imagine it's something we could have pulled off probably. Obviously there's like risk, like getting a mortgage with a friend, but like even if you look at it like an investment, we could have made an LLC and like talked about Airbnb. It's just like these things were possible because then when COVID did happen, everybody started buying up there. Like property values tripled, I heard, in some areas up in the Catskills and like around Woodstock. Like, so imagine if we would have bought something, we could have enjoyed it, and then like 4 or 5 years later, probably sold it and each walked away with a few $100,000 like profit. And then
For
we could
sure.
each go buy our own. We could be neighbors then.
Yeah, man, to have had some foresight and not just the only thing thinking about is tripping on mushrooms that weekend. And it's like,
Mushrooms, which I bought with Bitcoin when one Bitcoin was $380.
I remember that. I remember actually when hearing about the spikes in Bitcoin since been wondering like, man, did you just happen to have like a couple in there waiting around? Because it was like, it was nothing to get those,
Yeah.
back then.
I
And
immediately
yeah,
spun around and the money went from my bank account to Coinbase to Bitcoin, and immediately turned it into mushrooms on the dark web. Yeah, I've added up, what if I added up once all the money, all the Bitcoin I'd ever bought for mushrooms, and yeah, it would be like at Bitcoin's peak, which was like around 110, 111, I think, maybe more, bless you. Uh, it would be like between 250 and $500,000. Let's just take a moment of silence for all of the. This episode was going to be about interesting facts we learned. And I think the interesting fact is how many financial opportunities were handed to us and how many we totally blundered. I mean, we
I
turned
think
out all right, but God, I feel like few zigs instead of zags, you'd be millionaires right now.
that's just why there is like, and I feel like nowadays we see that more often because it's like people tell the same story to somebody that's 19 years old, 23 years old, whatever. And they're just like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, well, whatever. I have this. I could do this. I was like, I would never have thought to do that. Instead, I would like look at 10 grand and be like, well, if I don't work for the next 6
Yeah,
months, I could probably
exactly.
milk this 10 grand. And like, I used to do that all the time. I would just work, get a bunch of money, and then just burn through my money and be like, okay, I
Yes.
guess I got to go back to work. I did that until I was 27 years old. That means I did it for,
Yeah.
yeah, almost 10 years. Just like
Yeah.
that way. Yeah.
I mean, I hear you. But it's also the other flip of the coin is it's like, I want to live my life. There is another side to this where you just said you have this mortgage and it's kind of this pressure to pay. And I mean, there are certain, yeah, I wouldn't take those mushroom trips back. I mean, I know like someone would be like, you wouldn't take those back for $500,000. No, honestly, no, like those changed my life. And I think if I didn't do those, maybe I'd have more money, but I wouldn't. I honestly think I'd have way more problems. Mo money, mo problems.
When coming up and moving up here, we, we had like a short little window. We were living down in Atlanta and we came up for Thanksgiving and we did like an extended trip so that we could just, for 8 days or whatever, go see a chunk of places throughout. And my wife's family has like more people in it that are in Long Island she's in her family's like Bayside, Whitestone area, and sister lives in Long Island, friends all live in Long Island. So we started looking there, and like I've done plenty of work up there and would get off at any exit. It always looked the same to me. It always had kind of like the thing I never liked about Long Island was that you had to like come through Long Island to get out of New York. Like I hate that you have to go through this thing that's like you have no other option. You're stuck going this way. And it's like so is everybody if you want to leave. Like I've always hated that. Um, but anyway, so we started in Long Island just to kind of appease everybody, and nothing felt right, and none of the homes. I mean, first of all, it was the cost. Like our budget just like immediately went out the window. It's just impossible around here to stick like in that zone. But so there was that feeling of like going around like, Jesus, like this is what this costs, and but never feeling like at home or right. And the first time we came up here to see a place, the first exit that I got off of, uh, it was, the whole like last 5 minutes was lined in trees. You came off, there were like boulders jetting out of like you're coming around a corner and there's this like, nature and beautiful park. And right as soon as you get off the exit. And now I do that every day that I'm coming home. Like when I come home, it's that last 5 minutes is all in the trees, round around this corner. It's like boulders sticking out and you're right down into a park. And then whatever suburb neighborhood drive to my place. And there was something that just immediately was like called, like I felt it. I had not even seen, we went and searched like maybe 15 places in this neighborhood. Um, but it was just coming off that exit. I was like, oh, this is, I said it as we were doing it. It's like it was like November, it was like golden leaves everywhere. It was just beautiful and really feeling like drawn to this place. And into you about us hitting those trains, going up to taking the metro north to Cold Spring or Beacon or whatever, and feeling like very at home there. Like, oh, this is how I could make New York work for me. It gives me enough of like what I want from West Virginia, what's like always calling me kind of um, to have around me. And so I feel like that's talking about that's like it's got roots in that and those trips.
Yeah. 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 I always felt like I would end up there if I left the city. But then and honestly, yeah, well, you mentioned your wife is very savvy financially and sort of owned and saved and played the game in a wise way where you can, own and sell and then work your way up to a home in an area where you really want to live. And so I was with my ex-wife was the opposite of that. And like we just, I'm sort of the tale of when you end up with somebody that is as, if not more, I would say more, financially irresponsible than you are, so like I think right before I left New York, I was at that point where I was making good money still. And I wanted to get out of the city. I wanted to go upstate. I wanted to go buy something and live upstate. And if anything, like also have a really cheap apartment that we could sublet you know, or just like rent a room in the city so that if we needed to come down, we could just stay at least in a room. Uh, but I don't know. I just felt like the pushback from her, it's all fine because in the end, we weren't going to work as a couple. So, like, we were just kind of barreling towards some wall that was going to be the end of it. And it's like, where was that going to happen? But I thought that moving to Portugal was going to be like 6 months. That when we talked about it, it was going to be like a long trip, 6 months, experience living over here for a while, and then come back and move upstate. So we moved all of our stuff to my mom's house, the basement, thinking we're going to be in Portugal 6 months, come back, still have the car, find somewhere upstate and move up there. It's just like things happened. Visas got screwed up. That 6 month trip extended and extended. And then eventually our relationship fell apart. But then along the way, like I decided I actually like it out here for a lot of reasons. But like still my ideal is like upstate New York. I love the mountains, the trails. Like I love those mountains. Uh, but the thing is where I am here, cost of living is so much lower for the quality of life, like getting to live really close to the beach is nice. So, yeah, this isn't very really interesting podcast material, but it's like I'm glad you made it up there, I guess. I feel like again, a few zigs and zags, I would be up there too, but it would I would never have met Lucia, who's like, you know,
Sure.
we're like this.
Yeah,
So fuck it.
it's I get like, I'm in a place right now where I'm like really down on New York. As in New
Yeah,
York City, the 5 boroughs really. And it is
yeah,
like until I get up here, I feel fine until I have to like kind of dip back down and I've had to do it more frequently recently. And so that's probably why it's pissing me
yeah.
off. And just like the amount of time I've spent commuting, it just feels like such an
Can you
incredible waste of my time,
Is
and
it the
just like what am
commute
I
that's
gonna
killing you, or is there stuff about this? Because I could list some things about the city itself, and I feel like the way it's changing, but, like, is there anything
for sure.
specific for you?
I mean, the commute is it's kind of the all-encompassing person because in commuting, I'm going through certain parts of the neighborhood that I just like I get very frustrated with kinda like there's parts of I mean, they call it Williamsburg where I'm at, but like it's kind of South Williamsburg, but just like the you're going through a neighborhood that's just got like trash strewn streets and people all over the place and just like you just drive and it smells like shit, and it's just like, what? Like, and there's a high level of construction, which I guess like is there to improve on the area. And so, whatever, but just like the congestion and the way that, people fucking drive and act, like it's insane. I don't know what's going on, the level of entitlement or I don't know, the aggressiveness, which I guess I get it, but like, you know, I don't know. You drive through those streets, it's like you're dead stopped and people are just like holding on their horn and there's trash moving about, and there's just like scaffolding fucking everywhere. It's just like, I don't know, half done projects,
Ugly.
like abandoned projects everywhere. It feels like, like, oh, we started doing this and the money ran away. Like not even anyone here to tear down the scaffolding. Like just like, I don't know. Uh, but that commute and
Yeah,
being in the car and just not, if I was driving the whole time, the whole hour, I would feel nothing, it's just that
yeah.
like just going like,
Start,
and then
stop.
everybody just the horns and like the frustration. And I start getting pinged emails and shit. And you're just like, God damn it. And you just start thinking about the time that you're spending and the waste of, what I mean? Like I'm going to be 40.
Yeah,
I am looking at I know you are, I'm going to turn 40 at the end of the month. And I just keep thinking like, this is not fuck, I hate like, like this is not like where I want to be, what I want to be doing
yeah,
right now.
yeah,
Like I'm like really sitting in this car, like going to go. It'd be one thing if like the thing that I was going to go do like brought me an immense amount of joy, and I had to make this sacrifice to go and do it. But it's just like it's paying the bills, it's a job, and it's just like going and having and like being, feeling like you're spending your unpaid time. Then I get home and I'm like, if I get home at a reasonable hour and my kids are still awake, I start going really slow as I come up to my house and just like start to just try to shift my gear and be like talking
yeah,
aloud to myself, like, fucking cool down, dude, cool down, relax, fucking
yeah,
relax. It's
yeah,
all right. It's all right. Just like out loud talking to myself. Like I can't roll up in the house. And plenty of times I've had no other choice. You get home, you're not thinking straight. And you get in the driveway and you like, my kids run up to the window and I'm like, fuck, they saw me already. They, like I'm sitting here like fucking like a animated cartoon out of my ears, like smoke coming out, just like mad at fucking everything. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I hear people talk about like it's like a cliche of the dad sitting in the car after work in the
yeah.
driveway, just like taking 5 minutes in the car before coming in. It's like,
I've
why is
started doing
daddy
it.
out there sitting in the car,
Right.
staring off?
I've definitely had to do that. I like really the image of like where I pull up to the house. If you're in the living room, which is typically where my kids are between that like 6 and 8 p.m. when this is going to happen, when you pull into the driveway, the lights shine into the place, you can, and if you're paying attention at all, to like run over to the window. And if the window's open, it's just a shot of you basically pulling up into the driveway. Um, And so when I do that, that image really does happen where I'll like hit the driveway and be like, shit, I, damn it. And then their head will pop up. You'd be like, you like almost have to be making eye contact from this point forward. Like if you stop paying
Yeah.
attention, they start reacting, so like, like I almost start playing games and start working up to things, like a lot of times I'll
Yeah.
like just kind of go over to the side, like the other side of the driveway they can't see, and just be like, come on, all right, hey. It's like, get off, because you can just feel like, when am I going to roll up into here and be like,
And is that just like an accumulation of the tension from the work, the commute, or the work day, or both? Like,
both?
would it be
Yeah,
better if you didn't have one of them, I guess?
yeah, no, I mean, like so I'm lucky that I get a lot of work from home days. That's something I never used to get, and something that this job gives me that I wouldn't get elsewhere, and I'm very grateful for that. And in those moments, this doesn't happen. Like if I go like a 3 or 4 day run and I'm just at home and I'm able to do my work, go back up, get my kids, bring them in, like things move very well here. And it is work that is like the disturbing factor, it like comes in and pulls me away, pulls me into a place I don't really want to be for a variety of different reasons. And then, puts me back in a worse mood. And like, that's while this thing is like still going on, and then you have like a real sense of that with the kids too, where it's like, goes and picks them up, drops them off at school. Almost nothing changes for them while like my world's been thrown into a fucking chaos, and then I come back, and then you think from their perspective, things are still what they are. You're here now. It's like you almost owe them this, like the guy they're expecting to get, and my oldest son has actually started to be like, what, like he'll call me out if my mood changes a little bit. He doesn't know specifically, but he'll be like, why are you being that way? What are you doing? Like, why? Why are you being angry? He'll say, why are you yelling? Which is never the case, but he means angry when he's saying it.
Yeah.
But I reserve, and I've had to
You should
reserve
take
yelling.
him one day.
I should what?
Take him to work.
Oh, yeah,
Let him
yeah.
sit through the traffic and just explain. See how this guy in front, he's just holding his horn, and that's an ugly sound, right? Isn't that an ugly sound? Doesn't it make you just want to, I don't know, there's a rock. Let's together visualize crushing his skull in with a rock. Would that make you feel better, do you think, or worse? And then you get
Unloading all
home,
these.
you both come out of the car. He's aged 5 years. He's got like dark circles under his eyes. His younger brother comes up to him like, "How was your day?" He's like, "Girl, get away from me right now. Get away from me." And he goes, he smokes a candy cigarette, just like, "I just need 5 minutes."
You don't understand what it's like out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Does
like the
that
other
ever
day.
like, I can't help but think like that's an experience that a lot of people are having every day in the United States. People that just want to have a family, want to live in a home, want to be near like a little nature at least, because you're a human being and being around trees makes you feel better than being around scaffolding, you know? So it's like you kind of have two societies. Like one is people raising kids, living outside of the city, trying to make it work, but like still have to go into the city to work and have to do this commute. Like that's like a lifestyle. And then you have people who don't have kids that live in the city that are just like, let's get drunk tonight. Where tonight do we want to get drunk? What cool thing do we want to go experience? I feel like I lived that life. And like, as someone who lived that life, I didn't drink a lot, but as someone who lived that life of like, we got to go see the thing and be in the space and eat the thing that everyone's talking about. And it gets to be so like, to me, it got so empty and like not fulfilling. Was like really depressed before I left New York. And then I think it took me a year and a half to sort of like mentally, emotionally recover from the patterns that my brain and my soul got into living in that city and living that life and kind of expanding out into nature again and not, looking at life, not what I can get and, what can I get out of this? Even if it's just what I need this experience to serve me, like just enjoying being face to face with another person, from a very different background as me. Anyway, rambling, but it just makes you think about like this tension between these two types of people that have to share the same city. And then I think about, recently the mayor who got elected, Mamdani, very left, very left leaning. I don't know if you've heard about him or have even thought about him at all, but some people really like what he's saying. Some people are like, this is the end of New York. I feel like New York's always ending and then starting again. So who knows? But I don't know what my point is. It's just like your experience is super common, but it's so like I just feel like I put myself in your shoes, and I guess I would start to feel a lot of like anything in that city that got in between me and like my kids or like my life that I'm trying so hard to have, I would become enraged, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's
If they're
pretty
like, "Oh, we're gonna raise taxes on people who commute," or we're gonna do policy decisions that are just gonna make it incrementally harder for you to do this." Like,
like I said, man, I'm very down on New York. A lot of it has to do with that kind of stuff. I mean, just the finances of it all and turning every way you turn, just for me to get to work and back is $20 in tolls. It's
every
just like
time.
all that. Yeah, $20 in tolls every time. I'm lucky to have a parking space that's there at work that I don't have to pay for parking, but that can quickly escalate. And I've managed for the most part when doing personal stuff to not have to route through the city. So I'll just to avoid some of those tolls. But yeah, man, like base minimum, it's $20 for me to get to and from work. So frustrating. And it feels like at every turn, everything's being jacked up and the prices of things. And then just like nobody's really out there helping that situation. And I can only
Yeah,
imagine what it feels like down there in the city, making less money in a place that isn't like super well taken care of already. I'm sure people are like skimming on all those places too. Um, and yeah, man, then when you're just driving around, especially some of the areas where like I start my day down there, you're just reminded of the situation everybody's in all the time too, and you're just like not seeing like I just hard for me to like. Isn't a great way to like look at like what's going on. It's like it's hard. It just makes you feel kind of like shit. If this is like what it is for you on every day, like, and you just know like there's a hopelessness. It feels like, or maybe I'm projecting it. I'm feeling it when I look at them, like, and I don't know. And then I always every turn I'm just like, man, this costs so much money. This daycare up here is insane. It's like a college tuition. Like it's nuts, man. Like yeah, I don't know. There's just so many things, so many factors. And then like when you're in the car, there's also like no real positives coming your way. Like you try to give yourself like a comedy podcast or whatever, but sometimes it's like it actually feels worse to have like funny shit coming into a mad head, and just like
yeah,
get angry at the people. And um
yeah,
yeah, man, I don't know. Spent a lot of time like really angry. And it's like a lot of it
yeah,
I do feel like is New York. Um Yeah, I don't know. My wife's from here. She doesn't feel that at all. She like
yeah,
we drove into Brooklyn yesterday which was Sunday, and it was easy enough. I was definitely like resistant to it since I have to do it so much for work, just being like frustrated that I had to spend a day driving there. But getting there was actually really easy on a weekend. And but yeah, like coming back and she was just that she was her whole mentality of it is so different and like the excitement of it. And that like when you get a little drop of New York, it can be very exciting. And I think like
sure.
when I was working and during a lot of our run of friendship in New York, I would dip out, go do a job, come home. And like I was doing like we were talking about, like I would basically like work a job for 6 months, get some savings, and then just be hanging out in New York and just spend all that money. And that
Yeah,
was awesome. That was a really
yeah,
nice thing. Like there were times when I had to work in New York for sure too. But looking at it, it's just like, yeah, man, I was just like, that was the life that I was living. Now you're just like, I don't know, now being kind of like locked in one place repetitively, going into like seeing it every day with New York and just like only really walking away with the frustrations of it, because when you come back up here, it's like, it doesn't feel like New York at all. And I mean, it does if you think about New York in the upstate way, but like New York City, it doesn't feel like that at all. Um, and I don't know, it's giving me like a real peace. I love to just be able to stay here as much as I can. I have to go into the city.
yeah.
Um, but it's also just like required. It's like if I wasn't going to the city, I would not be worried. It's like I have, our industry requires people to be in, you got to be on set, you got to go do things like, so it's just like, it will always be that if things are working or shooting here, you'll just have to do it. I'm always like really, when I hear like, I get like paranoid now. You're in traffic, you start to hear like sirens coming up behind you and just being like, shit, or like if you start hearing like a lot of sirens, a lot of times when I'm in Williamsburg, I'll start hearing them from like all different sides.
Yeah.
And my mind just starts going to like, what I'm worried about, what happens if I'm down here and I need to get up home? Something bad happens, you know what I mean? Another 9/11, some level of that. What do you do if you're stuck down there? Like on a normal ass Tuesday at 5 o'clock, it could take me 2 hours to get 28 miles, you know? And so like, just imagine what it would be if something was really bad was happening, you know? Um, so I definitely worry about that. When my wife was pregnant with our youngest child, I thought about it the whole like month and a half before she gave birth, just like, man, I really don't want to be stuck down here and get a call. And just like all day, I would just be like, is that call going to come? Is that call going to come? And then like, it just happened a time on a day when I didn't have to go to set. It was just like happened in the morning. And I think it was like the day after too. It was just happened, just being super concerned about that, like worrying about, New York playing against you and being just stuck down there and like not being
Yeah.
able to get across. Well, I have to go across a bridge to get home. So it's like, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think after COVID, I just felt like I don't want to be here for the next disaster. It's a powder keg. It's like it's just waiting to become chaotic, you know? It just takes so little. The whole thing is such a chaotic machine and it's so impersonal. It doesn't care about you. Doesn't care about any individual, you know? It's just like it's grinding on and people are just there to keep that machine running because you get rewarded with a salary or something, like but yeah, I mean, and I don't shit on anyone who chooses to still live there because there are so many benefits. It's just like for instance, I left there and went to the Algarve in this small town, bless you. And I lived there for like 2 years, no, 3 years before I moved up back close to Lisbon now. And like I felt a lot of boredom, I guess you could say, at first, especially like this reaction to not having all of that stimulus. Because when I first moved to New York, and for most of the time I lived there, I kind of got addicted to that energy of like, and when you live in the city, you don't have to commute. So your commute is either subways or bikes or whatever. But it's such a like aggressive energy. But if you can like rise above that and surf on top of it, kind of gives you this energy. But if you slip and it's gonna like grind you up and take all your money out of your wallet, if one little misstep. But it was almost that flow state of like, I'm gonna move 1,000 miles an hour and I'm gonna like get around all these obstacles and I'm gonna make it. But like obviously that wears in you, wears in you, wears in you. And then after COVID, I was like, I gotta get out of here. Anyway, we moved to this small town and living there for 3 years, it was like this super heavy downshift. But since leaving that after 3 years and coming back up into a city again, I immediately feel the differences. I'm so aware of the differences that you take advantage of, or you take for granted. So in the small town, like, you see the same faces all the time, the same people that work at the grocery store. You go to the pharmacy to buy deodorant, same person working the counter, gas station, gym. Even if I don't talk to these people really, I don't know their names, they don't know me, you see the same face for years. There's like a real comfort that comes from that you don't necessarily I didn't necessarily like I wasn't aware of it until I didn't have it anymore. And we come up here and everyone's a stranger again and everyone's a little more mean and everyone's a little more aggressive. Like I've been really missing that feeling of like, all right, this place is only so big. If you walk in any one direction long enough, you'll either hit the ocean or you'll be in like a field, you know. Where like when you're in New York, you just feel there are layers upon layers upon layers of neighborhoods and people and obstacles, so that if you need to get somewhere fast, like you said, you're like, you got to work through so much. It's going to take time. It's going to cost money. It's going to cost patience. Um, yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's definitely, I'm definitely feeling the grind down of it recently. And going to Hilton Head was nice, but then like I got in the car the first day and I was just like fucking redlining within like 20 minutes,
Yeah.
and it's just like, damn, man, that wasn't enough,
Yeah.
yeah, it can just, I need a little less of it in my life. This summer is going to be busy, but I think it'll like thin out as we get into the fall. But
And you're still doing VFX, right?
I'm still doing, yeah, visual effects. And so I'm doing like, I work for a company that has these like mobile studios, and inside them are these photogrammetry rigs. And so we bring them to different productions. So I'll meet a guy in the morning. So it's everything that I'm working on is all like any union stuff like that has to have like a Teamster driver driving the truck. So I'll meet these guys in the morning. Like a lot of times it's meet them at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and give them the keys. I detach all the power stuff. We prep it to go, and they take our truck and they drive, and we go to wherever the location is. And it's fine if we have to do it. That's the other part is like, so the reason I'm spending so much time now, I have to like sit with these guys. They're strangers. A lot of them. Sometimes I'll get somebody that's like roughly my age. For the most part, it is the most stereotypical New York Teamster driver that you can think of. Um, and so it's always like that need to be engaged and social with somebody happens for me very early in the day. A lot of times, a stranger, I now have to. It's not like an Uber driver. You can't throw on your headphones and like whatever. You have to like engage with them and explain things to them, and they want to know stuff, and you're going right into it, and that a lot of them aren't used to having a passenger. So they're like opening up about stuff. Like I've heard about dudes' divorces and like going down like real personal routes about, things, especially if I get like multiple hours or multiple days in a row with some of these guys. But like I'm on a show right now that has to work in Staten Island, and the trailer is 13'6". So you can't go across, you can't go through any of the tunnels. You have to basically go to George Washington or Verrazano. So it's like complete opposite ends. And you have to like kind of deal with all this bullshit in between one way or the other. And so your routes are pretty locked, and it's just, a lot of times in the morning, fine, but like one way or the other, you're going to hit dead stop traffic, either in the front end or the back end. And was just in an altercation, like with a driver. One of my guys was like switching, going to the right, and they have a lot of limitations with what they can see, like trucks in general. And this is like a
Yeah.
30-foot trailer. So you start to switch lanes, you can see the lane initially, but once you start going, you lose sight of the lane, like from the mirror's angle. So you
Yeah.
start to lose. So when you're going to the right, that's a big deal for truckers. I just like lose that. Same, I mean, both sides, I guess, has it. Anyway, this dude just kept switching. This driver just kept switching lanes, and was like, we're in very congested New York. Can you just pick a fucking, you're in a truck, man. Just
Yeah.
like pick a lane and go. If we have to go slightly slower, and just go. And it was annoying. I'm like day 4 with this guy, and he goes to go do the same thing. But this car is like gunning up to the side as he's doing it. And the BQE is like, it's just a guardrail, like whatever those are called, those rails, it just drops off to the side. Like you don't have like a
Yeah.
shoulder really for a lot of that. Anyway, it gets like really tight. The guy's holding on his horn. I'm like looking in the mirror, just like, oh shit, dude. Like there's like a little mirror you can kind of see. So tell him to stop. He just slows down, lets the guy in front of us. He gets right up to the side of us and just like, it's me. I'm right next to him. So I'm like looking out the window, and he's just like berating us, like fucking flipping out. Him and his buddy is screaming and yelling. Like, I'm just like, yeah, what are you going to do? And this dude, he's like a year away from retirement. He's so checked out. He doesn't give a shit. He's not even looking at him, not acknowledging. The guy's like basically yelling at me. dude gets in front of us, and kind of to like what you were talking about with the swerving thing. We're in very congested BQE traffic. He gets right in front of us, just slams on his brakes completely and wouldn't move. And now in front of him, it's dead stop. People are just filing in around him like really
Oh
quick.
my
He just
God.
won't, and we're stuck. We have no option. We're a 30-foot trailer. Negotiate this anyway. This guy apparently, was just in a hurry, enough of a hurry that he needed to gun this, but like not enough of a hurry that he, the anger took over for sure. And like I kept thinking like, man, this guy's going to get out of the car, dude. Like who would be this mad? I've never been this mad where I would like stop the car this
Yeah.
way in dead stop traffic trying to get, it's like, also it's like, it's New York. Like, if you react that way every time somebody cuts you off, like, it's gonna be a long fucking, I mean, that's half the fucking reason.
It's
It's
going to
like,
be a
it's
long
all
life or a
exactly, man.
short life, very
Yeah.
short life.
Yeah, that's true. Um, but yeah, and then I mean, it felt like eternity, but it was probably like 30 seconds to a minute. He stopped and then he just starts like slowly creeping and just creeping and just like intentionally doing it we were trying to get to the Flushing Avenue exit. We could see it and we were just like, oh my God, it took us like forever to get there. And then just right when we put our blinker on to get off the exit, he just switched lanes and left. And it's like, fuck, man. So it's like, yeah, you have to also worry about that thing, that side of it. But yeah, driving that trailer is like become a big part of like my operational work, is like having to be in this trailer with these guys. Sometimes it's a short little route, but like sometimes if we have to go like to Staten Island or into Jersey or upstate, sometimes it's just like you're in here for hour plus with these guys. Sometimes I'll just be silent, get what we have to do in the morning and then just kind of like silent to pretend like I'm emailing or whatever, just to kind of keep it. But sometimes it's just like deep diving with them and let them go in. Like I always say, like, I'm whatever you are on these trips. I'm whatever you are, dude. You know what I mean? Like this is bullshit I got to do before I go to work. And then the next part is something I got to do before I go home. Like, why would I wait? Like if I was combative with these guys or if I like wanted to get my own viewpoints across with them, it would be such wasted energy inside a day. Like these are hardened gentlemen. And it's not like I can't see their perspective on stuff, but I'm just saying that like I'm whatever you are in the car.
What are some of their perspectives?
Well, it is often like a anti current government in New York, of course, like that's a big aspect of it. Everybody is 90%, either they'll say it or it's obvious, but they're just all Trump supporters. Not a problem. Be whatever you want. I'm not saying anything, but verbal guys that's, like I am a child of Trump supporters. I'm a family member of many Trump supporters that are not verbal. They just are. Do you know what I mean? But then there's that other type that are just very verbal and like have taken him as the guy that they're going to like. And so that's a lot of them, which is great because, it's important to be around that guy. I think, his name is a lot of this country. So I think it's important to like be around them as apolitical as I've tried to remain. It's important to like, I think I get enough of the other side. You know what I mean? So, good to like see this and be around them. But yeah, so it's that, and then it's a lot of guys. I've noticed an like very high divorce rate amongst these guys. So we do very often get into like, I'm talking about my kids. So what else am I going to talk about? Literally is like the only thing I know how to talk about with these guys. Like if somebody bites like that, tells me they've got a kid, whatever fucking age, be 25-year-old kid, I'm still just like, let's do kid stuff. I'd rather talk about it. So it would put me in a better mood.
You're like looking at Google Maps, like I've got 25 minutes.
Yes. For
Great.
sure.
I can
Yeah,
fill
I
this
can
with
see it.
kids'
They
stories.
always have like truck routes on their GPS and stuff. And I am just like watching it, just like, I got to do it. Yeah, another 25 minutes, another hour. Yeah, man. So it's a lot of that navigating those guys. Yeah. So that being in there while someone else driving through traffic is also like frustrating in its own way. Then you're like, you'd go through this hour and a half with somebody else navigating traffic and then you get in the car and you get to do it for an hour too. It's just like, so frustrating.
So traffic to start the day, traffic again. Then you do whatever you have to do on set. and then you got to take traffic back to your office,
Yep.
traffic back home.
Yeah.
How long are your days?
So I could be on set for like it's typically like 10 hours on set if it's a full day. So like my days will easily be if I'm going to and from set, they could be 16 hours door to door, that happens with some frequency. And it's much easier if I'm working like 2 days a week, 3 days a week. 3 days is still kind of tough, but like now I'm working 4 or 5 days a week and it's like, it's just a beat down, and,
How much are you sleeping every night?
6 hours of sleep. I zonk out. Like I
Yeah.
don't struggle with like, even yesterday, right before I went to bed, I was reading and I had this like awful thought about my kids being drafted and, what it would be like to be witness to that, to be subject to that, to have your children like taken away from, and I still fell asleep. Like I was thinking about this horrible thing. I was thinking like, I'll never sleep. I'm going to be thinking about this. Like, oh my God, it was like really starting to like dig deep. But I also was like, was so tired. I just like fucking just completely zombed out with this horrible thought. My mind didn't keep me awake at all. And yeah, because I think like it's just this, it's very patterned for me. The other thing is like if I do night work and I get home and it's 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I go to bed, I'm still waking up at like 6:30, 7 o'clock. Like my cycle is
Oh,
very
yeah.
hard, and so it's much, much easier for me to like wake up in the morning than it is for me to like plow through the night, and like force staying awake, I can wake up just like that, but like to force staying awake like that, like past 10 p.m., I'm like on a straight decline. And like, I can't be more than like an hour and a half away from going to bed or else I'm going to be like kind of a prick or like a different version of myself rather,
Uh,
um, yeah.
do We met in film school where we were learning how to be directors and to write scripts and things. Do you ever think back, like if you showed yourself then, and this is kind of dark sounding, but I don't, if you showed yourself then what you'd be doing every day, how do you, do you ever think about that?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. A lot of
how
times.
far, like I think we all envisioned ourselves directing films for a living, and it's just like the need to make money and to make a living and survive obviously is going to override everything. So you make certain sacrifices and sacrifice, and then pretty soon you're. I'm not saying this is a bad thing because I'm the same. I'm doing things every day that I'm like, this is kind of I've really gotten off the original path here a little bit, but that's life. Like,
Thought a lot of times in the car dealing with traffic, where I'm like, God damn it, like this is so not where I wanted to be. And I really look at like, because I've been contemplating with the way that this industry is just so tumultuous at the moment. It's just like, who knows, dude? Like, what's it gonna be in 5 years, 10 years? Like, I can't imagine I'm still doing what I'm doing in 10 years. I just don't imagine it would even be the same at all. Um, and so I've been thinking about like, do I leave or how do I get out of it? And thinking about how tied to my identity that it is. But at the same time, that crashing sort of reality that like the part that is the deepest root of why I want to do it, I'm not doing. I'm in the industry, but I'm not doing
yeah,
this part that like I keep saying is or keep thinking is like kind of what I want to be doing, why I went to film school, all that kind of stuff. And I realized early that there was a sense of like having to prove I could make internally prove that I could make money in this industry. I think from coming from West Virginia and my parents being doctors and like them having a real confusion about how I was even going to exist in this space and like feeling really determined to make money in this industry and then finding a path to do that and being like deep down feeling like, oh, well, you've succeeded. That's what you need. That was like that was the goal you had, and then like that just leads you down that route where it is just about money. And you realize how far away, turn around and you're like, oh shit, dude, like the fact that it would be like so much easier for a 22-year-old to jump right into like the right path for getting a film made or doing a whatever, like that. And it's just like you're so far off of it all of a sudden. You're like, but I have all the resources and the skill set and the whatever. It's like, yeah, but the fucking creatively, you haven't even like been able to give yourself enough to correct this at all. So like you stand no chance to like, it's very that's that thought that'll crash over me in the car and like you compact with somebody else's bullshit too. And then it's just like, yeah, then you really like spiraling out of control in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. It's just that, by the way, is there a child that's awake?
Starting to kick the bed
Oh, yeah,
upstairs.
I
Can
can
you hear
hear
it? Yeah,
it.
yeah. Sorry.
No, no, it's okay. Yeah, no, I think about that all the time. Like, I had these student loans to pay off after school, and that stressed me out so much. Having like $40,000, which isn't even much compared to a lot of people, but like having those bills come in, not paying them, uh, like just then starting to get calls all the time because I wasn't paying. It's just the whole thing became, I need to make money. And then it's like you move to New York. I even lucked out and I got a really cheap apartment. But then I was like, oh, I need to make more money so I can live in a more respectable apartment. It's like all these things, these like worms get into your head and they start telling you what you're supposed to do. And I think you just start getting comfortable making these little sacrifices from what you really truly want, or if you even really ever understand what that thing is. And then now I think right around our age, this is why people have midlife crises around our age now, because you get to a point where you take a second and look at you can see from a vantage point the trail you've been on, and it feels maybe like way off from the one you thought you were on. And to course correct feels way harder than than it would have been 15 years ago.
Sure.
But I'm gonna be positive here and say, like, I mean, I've met a lot of older people since moving here. Like, there's just a lot of retired people here, and I mean, they're in their 70s, you know? So I heard it said somewhere, maybe it was on Twitter. Someone said recently, like, when you're 40, you feel like there's not much time and like, oh, I wish I could go back to being 18, 20, and the things I would do differently. But, like, maybe it's better to imagine we were 80 and we wake up and we're 40. Like, and what oh my god, like, we still have so much going for us. We can still do things. We can still make changes that maybe won't occur until 5, 10 years from now. And I mean, this ties into the Bitcoin and the property conversation, but it's like, I feel that, and I feel like right at this point in our lives, it's like, well, what can we do now? Even if it's not what's the next Bitcoin, but like, what can we do on a personal level to course correct some level? And I feel like this podcast, for me at least, is part of that. This podcast is the slightest course correction. Not a lot of people are watching it yet, but some of the clips get decent views. And, you know,
Well, I'll say for what I've in going to that, and maybe a good way to like end this is just that like by doing what we're doing, I feel reminded that like if you show up to do it and you constantly show up to do it, that the something can start like rolling and developing as long as you're just like showing up and doing it and being a part of it. And so it's been like for me, I've just been like that's a hopeful little reminder. And it's like we could probably do some other stuff. Let's see where this like rolls into, like do a couple more weeks of this, see where you're feeling and how like you could escalate to what other things we could bring in and be doing. And yeah, man, plus I've always felt like we've done some fun creative things together and I've always had like just that's something I look forward to continuing to do. So yeah, man, I think like just showing up and doing it's a nice reminder of that, of like, yeah, dude, just do it, just show it up, and he starts to feel better and better. And then like even we came into this with a topic because it's like, but you just realize like, we could just start, it's good to have something and always something to like go and pull from, but there's like no shortage of conversation to be had.
yeah.
And
Yeah, maybe it's not. It's like I'm always thinking we need, how can we frame things so that it's more watchable or listenable? But maybe at this point we just I feel like we're still building and exploring what we can do with this. And like maybe it's not the time to obsess over how can we get the numbers and how can we, you know, maybe it's just letting our conversation do what the conversation wants to do. And maybe that will be entertaining enough for people to watch or not. I feel like when we pull the clips out, there's plenty of moments that work as like 2 minutes,
Totally. Yeah, yeah. I feel
and the
like, and
rest of it, that's just us hanging out, and I'm fine with
totally.
it.
And then I think like that's what this has brought me to understand. But then as we've been developing the other podcast, that like the episode, that's going to be the hardest thing to get people to go to look at. And that may be a long-term goal to get people to the bigger picture part, but that the clips are really how people like start ingesting you and deciding whether they like you or not. And if you're offering them that and an opportunity to say like, is this for you? Is it for not? Is it not? If it's not, go away. If it is, stick around. If you feel, and if we, give you something that you want to hear, come to the bigger thing. And I think that's kind of like what you're doing when you start to put out the clips, like the poop thing, especially like it's pretty divisive. You either are or you're not, to like finding that kind of shit funny. And, so yeah, I don't know. So it just feels like, let these be what they are. And I'm sure we're already going in. If it turns out it's like, yeah, do you need to focus up a little bit? Then we should. But I also think like, I don't know. I like that it feels like with the talking about the car thing, like that kind of felt therapeutic to me. Like I talked to the Spina about it, but at the same time, like I didn't, I was pretty nervous about it and like I didn't like it. And anytime I got behind the wheel afterwards, I was thinking about it and checking my rear view. It was like slightly traumatizing, but in a good way. I've got a lot of stuff to lose. I don't, want to die on my, it's, sorry, that's dramatic. Not how I feel necessarily, sort of is. But anyway, it felt kind of therapeutic to just be like, I actually had this on my mind. Let me talk it out. And then it just kind of goes,
Yeah.
I don't know. So there's something about like coming to this from a therapeutic point of view and just being like, if we talk it out a little bit, actually kind of.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to think of it going forward. Because I've got a bunch of I was just saying to Lucia, like, maybe I should start some therapy, but then I'm like, it's cost money, and I don't ever feel like talking to someone I don't know. So, like, maybe it's just I have some things that have been in my mind lately. Maybe just that's for me going forward, I'll try to think like, "All right, this has been coming up in my mind a lot lately.
Let's
I'm
talk it
gonna
out.
see what Pasquale thinks." And
Totally.
just
Totally. Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's a good, why not? That's kind of how I have immediately started thinking of it. And I think that's how I've thought about our relationship in the past, is just that we could share our problems and then have the other person, benefit from the other person's perspective. So, uh, why not keep going that route with it?
We're sons to each other.
Exactly. There you go. That's yeah.
We're each other's sons.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. What an evolution of the top four dads. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Amen.
that's awesome.
All right, well, go see what those kids are.
Yeah. Yeah.
If anyone's listening to this, you send me a video of your kids rocking out pre 7 a.m. to Rage Against Machine. So maybe they're up there like trying to put like bulls on parade
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
the
It's so
radio or
funny how
something.
much my kids are like, how much my oldest son is like drawn to that type of rock. But it's like I'm obviously playing it, and I'm definitely feeling Rage Against the Machine as I'm
Yes.
moving through New York recently. The message of it all feels like
But
more
he's
present.
feeling it. What was so great about the video, he's feeling it. He's literally having these moments, the older son, where he's just like, "You fucking like you can." Maybe he's, just whether this is true or not, spiritually, he's sensing your stress and your frustration, and he's subconsciously, he's like, I'm gonna take some of this. I'm gonna take some of this. I'm gonna help my dad process it through this music, and together we're gonna figure out a way to fucking stick our fist through the face of the world and
Yes.
come out on top.
Yeah,
I
watching
love it.
him do it, it's great because obviously it's fun and funny, but it's just like watching him just kind of like innocently like feel it and just be like, yeah. And it's just like, this
Yes.
music is doing exactly what it was intended to do. Like it's giving him that energy. The same thing is trying to go anti-establishment, like energy toward it. He's feeling it right now. He loves that line. I won't do what you told me. So I have to like keep like I was telling you, just have to go and find instrumental versions of it because like he's starting to say everything. Like,
Because isn't the line "fuck you"? I won't do what you
yeah,
told
fuck you.
me.
So it turns into that, but in the beginning, it's like, telling it's like, do what they told you, do what they told you, do what they told you. So he was like repeating that, and I could hear him repeating it. I'm like, all right, we got to keep cutting this song off like right at the end before it goes into like that verse, because if he hears that,
Yeah. You'll
he'll
be
like,
hearing it.
yeah, yeah, man.
Right.
But great to talk to you. I'll go
You too. Thanks so much, and we'll see
later.
you next week.